Cesspool Cinema. Number 2. It is now time for Tombstone. I had not seen Tombstone. Wow, thank you for the opportunity, Gary.
You didn't like it or what?
Well, I'll tell you at the end. Movie starts with a Spanish wedding. But as the husband and bride walk out, they are confronted by some men who start shooting up the place. They're killing motherfuckers left and right while kids run away not to get murked. They force the husband to get on his knees by shooting him in the leg. The man introduces himself as Curly Bill, then shoots and kills the husband. Since they were at a wedding party, they decide to sit down and eat. That's the beginning of this movie.
It's like a regular Friday night at Boomers.
Just confusing, right? Then they discuss what the preacher was shouting at them in Spanish. Everyone in this movie looks like they're at a shitty cowboy Halloween party. Do they not?
I don't know. Costumes were historically accurate, I think.
Wyatt Earp gets off a train and is confronted by a marshal, but then tells him to fuck off, that he's retired and he's going to Tombstone. He meets up with Virgil and Morgan and all their skeezers. Now, I said at this point, porn stashes are everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
They stand and admire themselves in a reflection. Then cut to Doc Holliday, who is gambling and drinking while a woman sits on his lap, and they're just living the life. Holliday wins, and it pisses a man off named Ed, and he goes to shoot Doc, but he can't draw fast enough. Doc shows him the guns were empty, so the man goes to attack Holliday and gets stabbed. The woman with Holliday proceeds to rob the place while everyone in the place looks on. They start making out before they get on their horses, and that turns me on.
Yeah, well, Holliday, one of the heroes of the movie, introduced by killing somebody.
Earp and his crew show up in Tombstone, and they're all very excited. They meet the county sheriff, who tells them that he's a man of many trades and offers them a place to rent. Tombstone is full of bars, whores, and gambling, and it's all 24/7. And I said, I was born in the wrong era. Earp walks into the bar/casino. What is it? It's all the same, right?
Yeah.
And he sees that the place is pretty empty. The owner tells him it's because of the asshole dealer, so Earp confronts the dealer. He tells him to skin the smoke wagon and start slapping the piss out of the guy. If someone knows what that means, let me know. He then throws the man out by the ear. The man comes back with a gun to shoot Earp, but is cut off by Doc Holliday. Holliday catches up with his boys while the man with the gun just watches on and then is dismissed and just leaves his gun.
Yeah.
That all makes sense.
He just gives up.
A woman arrives in a carriage, and all the men stare at her with erections. A pretty slow start to this movie, and I want to slap Gary for suggesting this bullshit.
Well, I had an erection too, actually, because she's a good-looking woman.
Cut to the theater, where the men and their whores are upstairs enjoying the show. Earp disrespects the mayor. The show starts, and the bad guys from the Spanish wedding are there, and shooting and shouting at the actors, trying to throw them off. Earp sees a hoe he wants to bust down on the stage, and his woman doesn't seem too happy about it. The show is over, and they leave. So I got this all right?
So far, so good.
All right. Earp and their women get in a little fight before Earp goes to work as the dealer. The woman Wyatt wants to bury his bone in, and the bad guy shows up at the bar. They confront Earp and Holliday about being former lawmen, but they tell them they're retired.
Now, before you go on here, there's a part, leading into that whole scene, there's a part where a guy is asking Earp for his autograph. My wife's not going to believe this, he says. It's the same guy from earlier that was the dealer that Earp turfed out on his ear. He came back later that same day. He's like, I need your autograph so I can prove to my old lady that it was you that whipped my ass.
Oh, okay.
And not just somebody who's, complete loser.
All right, I must have missed that.
Yeah.
Johnny Ringo shows off his gun skills in Holliday's face while everyone whistles and catcalls. Holliday's counters by twirling his cup that the alcohol was in. Remember that part? That was actually that was a really cool scene.
That part is actually a impromptu scene from Val Kilmer. It wasn't written to the script at all. He just took it upon himself to do it, and it actually worked out, and they kept it in the movie.
Cut to Earp riding his horse in the woods, and he just so happens to run across the bits he wants to fuck on. They decide to ride their horses together, and sadly, that's not innuendo. They sit down, and this homewrecker asks Earp if he's happy and what he wants out of life. And this has turned into some inbred soap opera all of a sudden, and this scene goes on far too long. Do you not agree with me on that?
Maybe. I think they're trying to build the relationship there, but maybe, yeah.
Whatever.
And she pretty much admits she's a slut in that movie. She says, I do what makes me happy. If that gets me a bad name, I don't give a fuck.
Back at the crib, Earp walks in on his wife chugging opium, and she asks, where's he been? Asks to smell his dick. She seems to know something is up. Curly Bill is fucked up and walks outside and starts randomly shooting while howling. Curly Bill is confronted by some old geezer marshal named Fred, who he then shoots in the chest. Earp apprehends Curly Bill, but is told by his gang to let him go, but Earp refuses. Holiday is easily the best character in this movie, is what I said right here. Agree or not agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Badger agrees, you agree. Okay, we're all there. A gang of no good varmints roll through Tombstone, shooting and hollering, spooking the public. This leads to them trying to tell people that they can't bring guns into town anymore. People are pissed. Sweaty Holiday is shown winning a dozen straight hands against an angry man named Ike, who threatens the group. Holiday collapses, and Virgil knocks Ike over the head in the most pussy-looking manner.
They pistol whips him.
Yeah, but it looks so fucking bad. And he gets put in a jail cell overnight. Earp has a run-in with a member of the bad guys, and then we cut to the doctor telling Holiday he either has 2 days or 2 years to live.
If he gives up sex, he won't last long.
Earp heads home to get his good-looking gun, and I guess he's back in the lawman business. Is that what happens, basically? Do you, in this time era, do you just basically say you're a cop or not? Is that how this works?
I think you have to be sworn in and stuff, but his brothers were threatened. His brothers had already decided to become the lawman, and so he's like, shit, you fucking roped me into this shit now. I gotta, because you gotta, one of them actually says you gotta back your brother's play, right? Even if it's a shitty play.
The good guys ready up for a fight against the Cowboys, even though they are greatly outnumbered. They approach the Cowboys to disarm them, but it turns into a gunfight. Virgil gets shot in the leg, and Gomer, whoever the fuck, gets shot in the shoulder or arm. And I guess Morgan gets shot too. I don't know all these people at this point. But all the rest of the Cowboys that were in town get killed. They're dead.
Not all of them.
Oh, they're all fucking
like
dead.
3 of them.
I presume. And there's no sign of Curly Bill, though. Right?
Right.
So how are some of them in town, some of them are not?
Well, he was off in the saloon with one of the whores of the day, I guess. I don't know.
After the gunfight, the Lady Earp wants to take doggy style. He comes over and just smiles like she has 10 brain cells before taking off by her man.
He wants her to ride him cowboy style.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
After the funeral, the good guys are walking around and run into a bad guy named Ringo, who tells them he wants their blood and souls.
Yes.
Do you guys like this guy?
Johnny Ringo? Yeah. I like the character because when he saw the script and went to audition, he auditioned for Doc Holliday, and they said, no, we think we got Val Kilmer for Doc Holliday. So he's like, okay, I want Johnny Ringo. Gotta have Johnny Ringo. And I don't know if you've seen the first Terminator, but he was Kyle Reese in the first Terminator movie. Michael Biehn, is that his name? Nice. Yes, the guy that played Johnny Ringo was Kyle Reese in the first Terminator movie. And those are the two things he's most famous for, obviously, because he didn't really do much else.
Holiday tells Ringo that he'll duel him, but Ringo gets taken away by the rest of the Cowboys. A big storm is in town, and everyone is paranoid. A group of women are gathered together waiting for Virgil, and when they open up the door thinking it's Virgil, it's someone cloaked, and the person shoots at them and flees. Virgil, being shot in the arm, is told by the doctor that he will lose his arm, and that enrages Earp and Morgan.
Because he has to switch his masturbating arm now. He's got to use the other one now.
Switch hitting is not cool. Morgan gets shot randomly while playing pool, and they find out the bullet is too deep to get out. And Morgan gets his dye on. Earp cries and kisses Morgan. That fucking happens.
That happened.
Earp goes out onto the streets and starts screaming at everyone, including the bitch he wanted to poke. Outside the Crystal Palace.
Hey, here he goes. Here he goes.
In the pouring rain, in a white t-shirt. So it's kind of sexy at this point, right? I think so.
That was the first wet t-shirt contest in history.
I liked it. Earp, while in a horse carriage, stops to talk to Curly Bill and tells him the conflict is over and they're leaving. And one of the cowboys said that they smell the death of a man. They then tell Ike to follow them and finish them off, but they're caught off guard at the train and then shot by Wyatt fucking Earp. I mean, just damn.
And he's not very happy.
No, and that's just, wow.
That's a good scene. I like that scene.
Ike's spared while his partner dies, and Earp tells Ike to tell the rest of the cowboys that he's coming. Hell's coming with him. And that's a quote without knowing, ever seeing this movie
that you had heard.
Yeah, that I had heard before. So, goddamn. They then cut to the good guys murdering the ever-living fuck out of the cowboys. People are hung from the gallows and all types of shit.
Good guys.
All right, you say so. Curly Bill and his crew are now having a shootout in the woods with Wyatt and his boys. Curly Bill with the one-liners while the gunfight commences. Corny shit. Wyatt steps out into the open, because that's what you do in a gunfight.
Yeah, no crossfire there.
He slowly walks down Curly Bill while Bill is shooting at him and missing, and proceeds to kill Bill at close range while screaming, "No!"
But here's another reference that you won't get from movies. Curly Bill being that close to him and missing. Curly Bill used to be a stormtrooper in Star Wars, because they're notoriously famous for missing at close range, right? Point blank range, can't fucking hit nothing.
The good guys contemplate when Ringo will be coming after them for revenge. 30 guys on horses wearing badges are searching for Earp's people, and Earp wants to hide for a bit, but Holiday passes out, and they need to find him a place to school. Once again, Wyatt Earp randomly runs into the broad he wants to be balls deep in and bids her adieu. Wyatt painfully looks on as she leaves, never getting to feel that sweet lady tang of her. You know what I'm talking about. Ringo sends a message to Earp that he wants to fight him alone at Hick-Ass Canyon Lookout, and Earp says sure thing. That's what it was called.
Hick-Ass Canyon?
Hick-Ass Canyon.
Can you show me that on a map?
Yeah. Back at the ranch, Holidays tells Earp that Wyatt can't beat Ringo in a fight. Wow, sweet reassurance from a friend there. What the fuck, right? You can't beat this guy. You're fucked.
But isn't that what Adrian says to Rocky in every movie? Don't fucking fight this guy. You're going to get your ass handed to you. And then he wins every time.
Wyatt shoves off to meet Johnny at the Big Oak. But shockingly at the Big Oak, Holiday tells Ringo that he wants to fight him instead. Holiday is sweating, shaking like a Muhammad Ali leaf in the 2000s at this point. They circle each other. Wow, this is so intense. Holiday says when Ringo goes to draw his gat, he's killed by Holiday. Right? Just faster.
Faster, yeah. Even when he's sick.
Earp finds Holiday and Ringo, and Holiday says he wasn't as sick as he was letting on. Then there is a montage of Earp and friends getting their murder on. Sometimes later, Wyatt is now visiting an ill Holiday and trying to keep his spirits up by playing cards. Holiday tells Earp to say goodbye to him because he's dying and go grab that chick he wanted to plow and just live life.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, if she's a good-looking woman. If you were my friend and you had a shot, I'd tell you, Jim, look, leave me, go fucking plow that field.
Okay. This is all Earp needed to hear as he springs up and tells Doc Holliday, goodbye.
Fuck you.
Fuck off.
Just die already.
Fuck you, bye. Now it's snowing, and we see Earp find that Jezebel. He wants to blow loads on her, and he courts her. She smooches him and lets him know that her family is rich as fuck. So Earp takes out into the snow to dance. This movie sucked fucking ass. I give it a 3 out of 10 if I'm being generous.
You didn't like it at all?
No.
Why not?
Just too slow. A little too slow at points. What do you
Wow.
give it?
I give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I really like it. I'd go an 8 easily.
No shit. I'm going 3s here.
Filled with characters, there's good characters there. And you forgot the most famous line, I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah, and that was a holiday thing too.
Yeah.
He was easily the best character in this.
Yeah.
You agree?
I liked Kurt Russell in it too at points, but yeah. Kilmer was easily the best character.
And this wasn't built around him. He's just a great supporting character, correct?
Yeah, who didn't win the Oscar, as Badger rightly said.
All right, so do you have any facts to finish this?
I'm just looking through IMDb here, but you go first, Badger.
The one interesting fact that I found is they couldn't get a whole lot of backing for this movie. And so Kurt Russell had to inject a whole lot of his own money. And then I think you pointed out earlier off recording that he actually took over some directorial duties after the original director cut out on him.
Yeah, so it's supposedly directed by George P. Cosmatos, but I remember reading somewhere, it might be in these facts that I'm scrolling through on IMDb, that the director that it's credited to cut out like quarter of the way through the movie, and basically Kurt Russell stepped up and did the rest of the directing duties. But you had mentioned earlier that some of this Val Kilmer stuff was improvised, and IMDb is saying that too, but it's also saying that some of it was historically accurate, from documents written hundreds of years ago that cannot be fake because they were on the internet hundreds of years ago. Doc Holliday's wink to Billy Clanton just before the culmination of the OK Gun Corral fight was completely improvised by Val Kilmer. It says, though the line quoted by Doc at the end of the fight is historically true and was reported in the Tombstone papers the following morning, when confronted by one of the cowboys reportedly said, "I've got you now, Doc, you son of a bitch," to which Doc gleefully replied, "You're a daisy if you do." Apparently that's historically accurate, if we can believe that. The lawman Wyatt Earp's fifth cousin, who's also called Wyatt Earp, plays Billy Claiborne. Val Kilmer practiced for a long time on his quick draw speed and gave his character a southern accent. The accent is an authentic touch, as Holliday was a cousin of Margaret Mitchell, who was the author of Gone with the Wind. Never read that book. Or never seen that film, I don't think. But that film's probably for me, Jim, like a lot of films for you, where you know some of the quotes, but you've never seen the movie. Wyatt Earp became a consultant to the motion picture industry, advising on westerns when he moved to Hollywood in 1915. I think it said that at the end of the movie too, didn't it? It was Val Kilmer's idea to whistle on the way to the OK Corral, to the gunfight. I mean, there's just hundreds of facts on here. You'd probably have to go look at some on your own on IMDb. Yeah. But
so the next movie, Cesspool Cinema, is doing. We had Rocky IV. If you haven't heard it, go ahead and listen to it. This is Tombstone, or what is next?
Next, I think, is Goodfellas, another great movie that you haven't seen. But now I'm wondering, Badger and I probably feel like it's a really good movie. It's if you consider that Tombstone is like the definitive Western movie of the modern era, then Goodfellas is probably the definitive mafia movie of the Western era. Gave birth to shows like Sopranos and other things. Most of the people that are in Goodfellas are probably in Sopranos in one way or another. So Goodfellas is to the gangster genre what Tombstone was to the Western. And you didn't like it, Jim. So now
maybe.
Now I'm wondering.
Well, no, I'll say I asked Badger what's his thoughts on Goodfellas.
I loved Goodfellas. I think it is a Goodfellas, Casino, Sopranos. Those are all great mafia movies. I think Goodfellas tells a historic example of what it was like to be.
Yeah, and I think that's right. It's based on a true story. It's based on a book that a guy who was in the mafia wrote, And then he, spoiler alert, you'll see this in the movie, he ended up in the witness protection program and he basically ratted them all out. But he was in the mafia for a good 20 years and wrote a book about all the people that they'd killed, all the things that had happened. And then they turned it into this movie. So,
Well, I'll review it for you guys, and we'll be back here to dissect it whenever we do it.
looking forward to it.